This chair's too big for me.
God.
My legs are dangling.
You have the sign-up sheet for or against the public hearing.
There is one right here. There's a sheet, but I'll fill it in.
Okay.
Does she have any of it?
No.
I'll fill it out.
But I'm ready. I'm ready to hit start. You ready to hit start?
Yep. We'll call the meeting to order. Paula, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Garvey.
She's absent.
Councilman Brennan.
Present.
Councilman McCain.
Present.
Councilman Green.
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
Present. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for the February 27, 2023 meeting. We will open up the public hearing for the Parks and Recreation's Use Facility new fee. Would anybody like to get up and speak for or against it? Go ahead, sir.
Well,
Come on down and sign in.
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Can I steal your pen?
Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, Lehigh Hartwell representing Wild West Off-Roaders. Essentially, don't know what the fee is. The newspaper and the publication just says a fee. It doesn't stipulate what an organization is. Is it a renting organization? Is it an organization using the park for free? You know, because currently, like Outcast Motorsports and Wild West Off-Roaders, we rent it for the sand drags, but we pay the full rental fee. You know, we do not have a $5 lease or anything of that sort. We pay a full rental fee when we use the park. And so just the notice lacks clarity of who exactly is paying the fee from the newspaper, from the public notice that's put out there. So me representing that organization, like if we were to have to pay the $2,000 per year, we don't even make $2,000 a year. We would not be able to utilize the park and would revert back. So that's all I'm asking is for clarification on what those fees were and who they would affect, and if you're renting the park, do you still pay the fees? So that's it. Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, can I ask him a question real quick?
Yeah.
Clarify.
Paul, can we do that in a public hearing?
It's not a, is
Public comment.
public comment?
No,
It's
no.
Well, first, I mean, yes, if you want to ask a follow-up question out of the gate, I guess you can. If it's a public hearing, obviously the public still hasn't had an opportunity to testify yet. But if you have a clarifying question, yeah, you can do that.
Good. Sir, I'm trying to just really hone in on what you're asking for. Does the newspaper say $2,000? You mentioned that in your comment.
$5 per rostered participant by organization per year, or $2,000 per year. And that is all it says for cost. That's all. It doesn't stipulate, is it users of the park that do not pay for the park, or it doesn't say any of that in the newspaper.
Okay.
So my question to the board, or to the council, is the fact of, like our organization, we rent the park. Every day we use it, we rent the park for the full fee. We don't ask for a discount or anything like that. We came to that resolution a few years back with the council that we would pay the full fee. And that's what we do. So I'm just asking who this affects and how it affects, because there wasn't any other language written into this fee or published in the newspaper.
Okay.
So.
Right.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Councilman Brennan, sorry. I'm not sure the appropriate timing, but before a vote is held, can we call Darcy up to answer that question? Whenever the appropriate time is.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to get up and speak for or against? Darce, you want to come up real quick and kind of clarify for us?
I guess to reference your comment, this new fee is directed mostly to the youth sports organizations that use city facilities. Say the Elmore County Baseball, Elmore County Fast Pitch. What do we got? The Albion, SC Albion, soccer leagues. And no, they do not pay a fee right now to use our parks.
Those are groups you just talked about? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and this is moving forward. If we do have more organizations coming in that want to use our city facilities for league organization, we want to have this in place.
So the current fees stay in place, like the 45
So
day?
a regular park rental is still $45 a day. Yes,
Okay.
this does not apply to, I guess, special event rentals, that kind of thing. This only applies to organizations that plan to use the facility. Say, I'm going to use SC Albion, the soccer teams, or that organization. They're starting practice this week. They're going to use it all the way through May, and that's out at Optimus Park. They've never been charged a rate at all to use that. We just have partnered with them and let them use that facility. I think what he's referring to is his events. He thinks that, well, I'm sorry, I'm not assuming, but that he's going to be charged the $2,000. That does not apply to any event or daily rate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And Paul, was I supposed to ask the council to go into public hearing, get a vote?
Yes, but that's okay. That's just parliamentary procedure. I mean, the fact is, we started the public hearing.
Okay.
Normally you have staff give a staff report and then it goes into public testimony after that, but that's why it threw me off a little bit at first.
Sorry.
Okay.
And then declare we're gonna go into the public hearing right now. And then, so the question was, can a city council member, interrupt a member of the public who's testifying, saying, hey, wait, what are you saying? Yeah, that's permissible to do that. It happens all the time.
Okay.
I think here too it said rostered participant, I think is where it kind of,
It's okay.
maybe more clarification for next time.
So did where'd you get the fee from? Just,
So we did a little research through partnering communities and what they were charging, and they would charge $2 to $5 a participant, and we felt that a lot of them were in the $2 to $3, and where we're at this time, we've never set that fee, and we're thinking more future related, that we wouldn't want to increase these fees for years to come. This would be set for at least 4 or 5 years, then we could revisit it. So it puts us at a good starting point. That was our thoughts.
copy that.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I have more questions for Darcy, but again, I'm like, should we wait until it's our time to discuss that?
Wouldn't that be under the new
Councilman
business?
Green, sorry.
Sorry, and I apologize.
Councilman Green?
Wouldn't that be under the new business? Because it does come back up under that. This is just the public hearing.
I will give you two answers. To the extent that it is, so let's take just, and not for a fee or something, let's just take a land use application, right? So, staff does a staff report, then all the public comes and testifies, and then one city council member comes up saying, have you looked at this study? So brand new information that nobody's seen, and it's material, so it's not just a ministerial type of thing. Well, then, unfortunately, what that happens then is then everybody else gets to come back up and testify if they want to about that one particular thing. And so it just makes the process drag on. So if your question is going to be a humdinger sort of thing where everybody in the public might want to testify on it, by all means, please do it now, so we don't have to redo it all again later. If it's more just kind of give and take and part of the deliberation about the wisdom of doing this versus that, but there's no new information presented, then you kind of do it later on and during your deliberations and say, I have another follow-up question for staff, sort of thing. Do you get the difference?
I think so.
Okay.
Mary, are you okay with asking a question then?
Bet.
If anybody wants to stop me and tell me maybe better later, that's fine.
Okay.
But these groups that you've mentioned, a few by name, I'm sure there's others. Have you reached out to them to advise them that this could be coming?
Yes,
And what's their reaction to that?
they're all positive and they're ready for it.
Okay.
They're accepting of it, yes.
Where I'm going with that is I want to make sure, like, if they're starting in March, that we're implementing this, could implement it.
And they
tonight.
understand that it starts.
This week. Then it would prevent them from having their season this year. Does that make sense? If they weren't thinking ahead.
I don't foresee that happening. I do have someone here that maybe could speak up for me on that one. Kaylin is here with the Elmore County Fast Pitch Organization, and the feedback I've gotten, that will not be a factor.
Okay.
They will still have a season.
Okay, that's my concern then. Thanks.
Councilman.
Mayor?
Councilman McCain? I couldn't remember.
I just wanted to have a question for Paul. Since we have done this backwards, should we allow somebody to speak again since nobody else asked when the mayor asked if there was anybody else that had any questions?
Yes, it would be prudent to do that.
Okay.
I actually have one question, if I may. Are you comfortable that the rates that you picked, so there's many different ways that you, cities charge fees for something. Like an enterprise, like a sewer fund, for example, is you're paying for the service and the cost of that service to do it. You can't charge double what it costs to provide that service as a revenue raising measure. That would be an illegal tax. That's not quite true for something saying you want to use our parks or you want to use something like that. However, the same principle, you want to use the same principles, that it's not for revenue raising purposes. As the fees in your mind tied to the cost of maintaining these facilities and creating a order and the regulation of who gets the park? Because when you're giving a soccer team or soccer league this park for this amount of time, obviously that's to the exclusion of anybody else who might want to use the park. So there's those costs involved. Are you comfortable that the fees, how you've arrived at these numbers, coincide with the burden that providing this service to different organizations, the cost that it is to us?
Yes.
I probably could have said that in about half the words, I know that.
But he's an attorney.
We pay by the word.
Yeah, it's supposed to be word.
That makes more sense now.
I guess we don't want to divert organizations from using our facilities, and being that this is brand new and we have really great partnerships with these organizations already, but we just want to be prepared for the next step, the next 5 more organizations coming in to use the parks. So myself and the park superintendent looked over the prices, and we feel it's fair across the board, and yet it will still benefit the city, not in a revenue aspect, but as a community-minded one. We're
Providing a
still
community asset to the community,
yes,
the costs associated therewith.
yes.
Hence,
Thank you.
dirt, fertilizer, the time to maintain it,
Porta
all of it,
potties,
porta potties, trash.
Staff, all
Staff.
those things. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Thank you.
So would anybody else would like to get up? We're gonna redo it over and have you come back up, sir.
Well, I was just gonna say that I just think that
State your name again.
Lehigh Hartwell.
Thanks. 'Cause, for the recording.
Okay, Lehigh Hartwell, 2384 Northwest Frontage Road.
Thank you.
All right. My only thing is it says non-city organization fee, right? So if Mountain Home School District wants to use your park, are you charging them? Who are you charging? Where is the rule set of who is a non-city organization fee? I just think it's very broad, what is written in the proposed rule. I've already got the clarification that it wouldn't affect our organization because we're renting and everything of that. But what I'm looking at is later down the road, this one says, well, no, I'm part of the city, I go to Mountain Home School. No, the school district isn't actually part of the city. So where is the clarification on that so that we don't run into headaches later on about who gets charged and who doesn't?
Copy that.
That's it. Thank you.
Can you give me a minute to get the kind of sign out sheet back up? Oh, shoot it to you. Sorry. No, you're fine. Will you shoot it back to me?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Misty Pierce, Mayor, Council. I had the same questions. Kind of the clarification wasn't really, it was kind of broad, wasn't specific. So I was just wondering how this is going to affect like the Senior Citizen Center when they rent the park for 4th of July, or I can't remember, the Arts Council when they rent for art in the park, or the concerts in the park. So I was just, there was no real clarification of, like he was saying, city versus non-city, who's going to pay $5 versus $2,000? Is it $2,000 for like a 2-week event, or a 1-week event, or, 5-day event, or, just asking for some clarification. So, thank you.
Yep. Doris, can we come back down real quick, please? Oh, come on down, ma'am, I'm sorry.
So I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Sign in, state your name.
Thank you. Yeah. So Kaylin Rao. I'm with the Elmore County Girls Fast Pitch League. So I am for this measure. I have, like Darcy had said, we had been talking about this becoming a thing. We currently have 3 teams registered, equating to about 39 kids at this point. So in the scheme of things, $5 per athlete doesn't seem very unreasonable, especially how much work is put in. There was a lot of conflict with soccer being at Optimus and softball being at Optimus. So maybe having that schedule and that fee being so that soccer just doesn't show up in the outfield, then that's a danger type situation. Leading to that, I was hoping that's what the fee is going to improve, that quality for everyone on the field safety wise. And the field itself, safety wise, being taken care of and scheduled appropriately. We bring teams from Nampa, Cuna, and Boise to play out there.
Boise Blast.
Yeah, exactly.
My daughter.
Yeah. So just really think this could be a good way to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and teams aren't just showing up in the outfield when things are scheduled and done in the right course.
Yeah.
Copy that. Thank you. All right, thanks. Would anybody else like to get up and speak? Doris, can you come back up, please? So
In parliamentary procedure, that means the public hearing is now closed
Oh.
and you're seeking to
sorry.
ask further questions of staff.
Hence, parliamentary procedure. I guess we are going to close the public hearing. Do I need to have a vote?
No.
Okay.
No, you're certainly entitled to, anyone's entitled to ask staff additional questions.
Okay. Rugby, obviously softball, soccer, is there baseball? So those will all pay that fee? And then what, and I agree with Lee, what is a non-city organization?
So I believe by what is this is stating is city recreation leagues. It says non-city organization. That is Parks and Rec, youth soccer, our T-ball, girls softball, flag football now. We have a lot of sports.
So you wouldn't pay yourself.
No, we wouldn't need to, yeah.
Councilman?
So what are you saying, that anything that doesn't go through Parks and Rec is basically a non-city organization?
Yes.
Okay.
We also have another organization that comes from Twin Falls, and they invite teams from the Boise area. It's the Twin Falls Christian Academy. They do a summer spring flag football league, and they've been using our facility for almost 3-4 years now. And the way we've worked with them is we've asked them to do a $100 donation to the parks, and they've done that the past years. So that's how we've partnered with them for the use of the park.
Councilman or council members, you have any other further questions for Doris?
Yes, I have one.
Councilman Kane?
As Christie was saying, are we still going to have the problem with two organizations trying to be on one park at the same time?
So that is another reason why we're bringing this to light, is because of that scenario. We've had times, like Kaylin said, where soccer would show up at the same time we have softball, and softball's hitting balls into the outfield, and it got to be a safety issue for one, but then I guess the scheduling of it, we want to be the middleman to make sure, I guess there's no ill feelings towards each other's organization. So if we can be in the middle and make sure the schedules are taken care of, their needs are met, and everybody's happy, that's what we should be doing.
I think that's a good idea. Okay, thank you.
Mayor.
Councilman Green?
So one other quick question. So with this, it means that all the non-city organizations are going to be treated equally?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes. I guess I should say on assumption that, well, no assumption, like it would be first come, first served basis.
I meant fee-wise, because
Yeah.
like
Oh,
you were
yes,
saying
of
with
course,
the
fee-wise.
Twin Falls Christian Academy, it was a $100 donation. Are they going to be held?
They are held
Okay.
under this now, yes.
Thank you.
So this just clarifies or cleans up, everyone's got to go through you. Everything's got to be scheduled, so no one can, like you said, hit balls into the soccer, and rugby, whatever.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think it's a good idea.
Yep. Council, anything else? Thanks, Doris. Okay. We'll run down to department head department head comments and reports. Shasta, you want to go first?
Sure. Mayor, Council, we are excited to announce that music and movement has grown so much, and we want to stay in good, friendly relations with our fire chief, so we shouldn't go above occupancy level. So we are going to, I've talked to Bianca, and we are going to offer another class on Wednesday morning and Friday morning, starting at 9:15 to 9:45. We're gonna test that out for a couple of months and see if it's helping to alleviate big crowds, so that we have everybody safe and enough room to dance and play. But we're excited. We're excited to see that. Also on on Wednesday, we have our family history group meeting, and there's going to be a special presentation given by Terry Sutherland on the old calendar feature. On Thursday is Read Across America Day, and we're celebrating it by also celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday. So we'll have story time with Dr. Seuss books, make a goofy craft, and we'll have the Cat in the Hat there too. And Thursday we also have our library board meeting. It's open to the public at 5 p.m. On Saturday, March 4th is Idaho Day. It's the day Idaho became a state. And we have a special presentation starting at 10:30, talking about its inception and history and the future of Idaho. We also have City Youth Council meeting on March 6th, which is Monday after school, 3:30 to 5. We have our library book club meeting on the 8th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. We have a special presentation by one of our own Mountain Home patrons, Haley Slaughter. She is going to talk on World Kidney Day at the library, talking about her experience in giving a live kidney donation to a veteran. So we're excited to hear about her experience. On the 10th, Friday, is Mario Day. We're having a special party with Mario Kart racing, and some other Mario games from 5 to 7, and that is for ages 9 to 15. That's our junior hangouts group. And we also have the library, Friends is having a book sale on the 10th and the 11th, and we encourage people to come out and buy books to help us run more programming to make that possible. And that's it.
Short list this time.
Sorry.
I said short list this
I
time.
know, right? Always.
Doris?
So at the Parks and Rec Department, we just finished up our soccer deadline registration on Friday, and we have a count right now of 450 kids signed up. That's 50 more kids, youth, signed up than last spring. So, yeah, and we still, a lot of people are getting signed up on the wait list because they forgot. So we'll try really hard to get them on a team for sure. So we're busy doing that. The games will start the first weekend of April out at Legacy, so y'all be aware, there will be a lot of people out there on Saturdays. The summer booklet, we're already programming for summer. Our deadline to get that all turned in is March 10th, so we're working hard on summer programming. And the spring sports are starting up, like I said just a little bit ago. Some of these teams that are going to use the city facilities are starting practices this week or next. So we're looking at fixing up the Optimus Field softball fields, putting some new dirt in. We're going to try to get those up to date and safe, and getting more people out there to play. So we'll start there, and then we'll start at the city ball fields too. So, okay?
Perfect.
That's all I got.
Let me put that from over here.
Chief Thompson?
Mayor Council updates on the new vehicles. We took delivery of the first 4 this last week. Waiting to finish up licensing on those 4. The next 4 will be done tomorrow, but because of weather between here and Salt Lake, I don't anticipate delivery for a couple of weeks.
Fantastic. Gene?
Mayor and Council, streets has been on its standard winterized work session, so we've been out crack filling. We finally finished up on all of that crack filling for this winter. Been working with Marty and them on some of the sidewalks down West 5th North. People probably drove them down this street and noticed that some of the trees are missing, things like that. The property owner has paid to get those removed and stuff, and it's being taken care of. So hopefully that'll lead into what's going to be happening this summer with some new roads and some new sidewalks, curb and things like that. Spiffy that area up. We also have street sweepers running out. They typically run out randomly. You know, in the wintertime we take them off the schedule. In the summertime they're on a schedule. And when the leaves start falling, they come off the schedule. It starts getting cold, and so we have to winterize a lot of that stuff because it does use water. When it's nice out, like we had in December, you know, we were able to sweep the streets pretty good. And then we go into these cold spells and we shut them down, and then we turn them back on and we shut them down. So it's kind of an unscheduled thing. Around the middle of March to the end of March time zone, we usually start putting out that schedule. And we try to keep it on that schedule, but just depends on this Idaho weather. We live in the mountains, so. But that schedule should be coming out around the middle of March. So, other than that, I got I think 5 or 6 guys that should be. They finished their road scholar quite a while ago, and they've got one more class which they're going to take in March 15th, and that should get them to finish their road master. So that should be take care of most of the last bit of guys that I have. So. Hopefully they'll all pass, and if they do, then we'll be looking forward to trying to schedule a LTAC ceremony at the council meeting. So I just don't know what month yet. Other than that, that's all I got.
Perfect. Chief Moore?
Mayor, Council, report back on the Southern Idaho Fire Academy. We had 9 firefighters go over there. All of them, I'm sure, got very well educated in their different areas. We had two of the firefighters went through essentials. Our younger firefighters did that. We had 2 firefighters that went through an extrication basic class, a 20-hour class. They attended and went through those, learning the operation of tools and stabilization primarily is what that class entailed of. We had 5 of our mid-range firefighters go over there, and they went through the art of reading smoke, and they went over some flashover training. I heard nothing but good things about from everybody about all the different classes that they took. James Rowan, our leadership class, again hearing good things on that, good feedback there. I personally get an hour of coaching every Friday, so it's good stuff. Learning a lot, and I get nothing but good feedback from the firefighters on that. Some hurt feelers about what they say, but constructive criticism is constructive criticism. So.
Chief, really quick, will you give the small synopsis to the council of what that Rowan gentleman's doing for you?
So essentially what he's doing is he's come in and he's done an intake interview with everybody on the department that would participate, and basically I think by and large we had almost full scale of participation in that with the department, possibly full. And so basically based off that, he finds out a little bit about you. Then he does what is called a 360, and that is that he does a cross-section with everybody on the department to take this survey, and it deals with everybody from your leadership officer staff to firefighters in terms of where you see them in different areas throughout this 360, which is fairly inclusive as far as stem to stern, as level of where you're at, how you treat people, and so on and so forth through there. So he gets a good idea about what that is, and then based off of that, he'll cross-section everything that is in there, so he gets a good read on the department. We've had he's very impressed by the department's participation in this. But that gives him a good level field to go over. You've got the highs and lows and the in-betweens, so he gets a good cross-section, and you can come back with each individual and say, these are the good things that I'm seeing throughout the surveys. These are some areas that you could use improvement, and so forth. So a lot of it is going to be communication, and just different areas where they see you as in terms of officers, your leadership ability and skills. So they'll touch on that kind of stuff. So you can find out what areas you may think you're good at or you don't have an issue with. But as he talks to you, kind of like, well, I thought I was good at that, but I guess I'm not if the majority is saying this. So an opportunity to learn and work within the department. So really good stuff. So me, he beats up. So that's good stuff too. A year-long process. So does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the last thing that I have on here is that March 12th, we have 2 firefighters that are going to participate again this year with the Seattle Stair Climb. That's the stair climb that they'll go to on the 12th. And they participate in that climb for raising funds. They raise funds here in the community through donations. One, I believe, is Walmart. The other was at the barista this past weekend, and got a good amount of donations that will be contributed to the cancer lymphoma organizations that they put up there for that. So good fundraising event.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Who's doing that? The stair climb?
This year we've got Elsa Guillen is going to do it again. I don't think she's missed a year since we've started. And then we have Tim Schwanke, this on the fire department. He's going to be up there participating as well.
Thank you.
Councilman Brent?
Chief, that the gentleman that's coming in and kind of surveying everything, does he produce like one final report at the end, or is it just more of an individual assessment?
You know, to be honest, I'm not sure. I think that overall, I mean, there'll be a summarization that I'm sure that I'm going to get. I think he intends to involve Mayor in the overall as well. But individually, I don't, it's not going to be an individual thing. The thing that is nice about it, he's got $1 million library that can tailor to specific areas where you may need improvement. Maybe it's you need coaching in speaking. Maybe you need coaching in communicating or whatever, various things that you specifically gives people that they can look on, and then in time again, he'll reach back out. He may or may not make a trip out to the department. Last conversation I had, it's not something we paid for, but he intends to come down here and make a station visit regardless when he comes through Pocatello. So I don't have that date yet, but hope to see him in person here.
Okay.
Brock?
Real quick, on the James Rowan stuff, I have the unique opportunity to be a participant in that as being an entry-level firefighter, and I can tell you that it's been really great. I'm communicating with other firefighters on the department. Sometimes we chuckle about it because Mr. Rowan doesn't pull and he punches, and sometimes he's like, you know what, Firefighter X, you're a great guy, but you can just smile. You know, you don't have to be grumpy. And we all kind of laugh about it together, but it's true. And I think we're figuring out how to communicate more effectively. If you look at our fire department, you have multiple generations of people from all walks of life, and I'm excited to see what comes next. So I just wanted to give you my 2 cents as a person going through the process to know that I've been pleased with it as well. Elmore County impact fees. I want to thank the City Council for being present for that joint meeting with Elmore County. For those of you that don't know already, they did approve their impact fees. They did have some discussions as to certain fees and their plans on what would and what wouldn't be imposed upon the city. Irregardless, there needs to be passed an intergovernmental agreement before any collection of fees can take place. I think that's important to understand. I made sure that that was clarified by them and by their legal counsel before they took any sort of vote. Know that a lot of that was pushed by they have somewhat significant growth happening in the county, and they want to make sure they capture that. And they do understand that in order to ultimately collect these fees in the city, there's going to have to be some more meetings of the minds and more collaboration on that front. Next, building permits. So December, no residential building permits. January 1. This last month, February, we've had 11. And we're starting to see things pick up. We've had more development plans submitted, more people submitting final plats. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I reach out to our real estate group very often, and I've heard rumors of bidding wars again, and houses are starting to stay on the market shorter. For those of you that are curious, over the past couple of months with interest rates going up and kind of the uncertainty that we've had, one thing that we have not seen is our average price per square foot have a dramatic drop. Right now it's about $211 a square foot. When I first started for the city of Mount Home, it was $136 a square foot. So over the last 2.5 years, and it's staying stabilized. We're seeing homes stay on the market longer, but their value is still there. I think the mayor describes it best. The real estate market in Boise can be like the stock market. It goes up and down. But what we're really seeing is that safe mutual bond effect that Mountain Home Real Estate has, where we're not seeing dramatic drops in values. I will touch on the master transportation plan, but I'm going to hand that over to Betsy. So I don't know if I can just punt the ball that way.
There you go. All right, Betsy, you're in.
So I mostly, not too much to report for communications. I'm just working with departments on outreach and stuff. Like Jean said, we're working on the street sweeper map, or the schedule. Schedule's always been on the website, but we're gonna really push that out in March when we know for certain what's coming our way and what's coming the citizens' way. A big thing I've been working on outreach-wise is the master transportation plan with Brock. We are at 506 survey results right now, which is pretty good. Out of all the surveys we've done, besides the comprehensive plan, this is the most we've seen on any results. I think out of all the other surveys, I've seen 100, maybe 145, 200, 500 is the most I've seen completely. So it's really excited there. We have our open house tomorrow. We'll be at Pioneer Federal Credit Union from 3 to 6:30 in their community room. So if you guys want to come down, show your support, or just to the public in general. We'll be there to answer your questions. We'll have some paper surveys there for those that didn't want to take it online. And we will have that survey open for a couple more days at least to get some more results in. And then we'll hand it off to consultants to go from there. And that's kind of where we're at. Another update I have, I'm not sure if I ever updated you guys on the mural capital of Idaho. Unfortunately, the governor's office did not want to write a proclamation specifically naming us mural capital of Idaho. As you can imagine, with Boise and Freak Alley and various other towns throughout Idaho, they were kind of on the fence, but they did encourage us to continue with the mantra. And they sent us off to the Idaho Commission for the Arts. And the Idaho Commission for the Arts supported us 100%, said keep on keeping on. Call yourselves mural capital of Idaho. You guys own it, you guys rock it, advertise, go forth and do good work as they say. So we've been supported to do that, and so we'll continue to do that. We just will not be saying that we were named by the governor. But we have had full support. Even the governor's office did say you guys do great work down there. The murals are amazing. They just didn't want to seclude us from Boise and other towns. So, but we still are going to self be named mural capital of Idaho, and we'll own it. So I think that's all I've got.
We're going to do a different spin on the state of the city this year. We're going to have department heads play a role in the state of the city. That way the people don't have to look at this ugly mug for 20 minutes. It'll be all the beautiful department heads jumping in and participating.
Yes, very excited for that. So we got pushed back a little bit as far as time frame wise, but we'll start filming that this week. I've gotten a hold of most department heads. Still waiting to hear back from a few department heads, but everyone seems pretty excited, so they'll say their piece, be able to promote their own accolades, and we'll go from there.
Why are you living rich?
Hasn't
heard back from his
department heads in the area. No, all his people reached out to me, so he's just the last one I've got to corner. He's a busy guy though, so I'll
They can take care of it.
Copy that. Councilman Brennan?
Betsy, is tomorrow's event just a drop-in at your leisure in that time frame, or is it a schedule like you're doing a presentation?
Nope, it'll be drop-in anytime between 3 and, well, preferably if you could come at like 6:20, so we could leave by 6, but if you show up at 6:30, we'll hang out and talk with you. 3 o'clock to 6:30, drop in as you like, however much time you have, and we'll answer the questions. I know we've got some slides we'll put up on the screen, and we've got the survey results that we've had so far. We'll have that up on poster boards so citizens can kind of see where the 500 results are leading.
Perfect. Thank you.
Rich?
Mayor, Council, I'm going to blame Gene for the weather, because Thursday we were talking about, let's, maybe taking, all the Sanders and stuff off, but, that didn't happen. So I'm going to blame that on Gene. Well, they've been busy out there doing, getting the roads going and doing all that type of stuff. Water department, they're, getting ready, gearing up for, opening up some of the wells, getting ready for summertime, I guess, summertime whenever it gets here, spring, because they have to be ready for that. Same thing out the farm. Don's been getting everything ready with the farmer. He already has his a winter crop that was already planted, and so that they'll be getting ready to harvest that sometime, and then working for that. Lagoons are in good shape for our water from this winter, so we'll be able to, get rid of everything we needed to get rid of that way. So everything's been good out that way. So you have a couple things on tonight, so as soon as we get there. So,
Diff?
Mayor, Council, Office of the Clerk is still chugging along. We'll have some agreements. Some of the new hangar space is coming available, and people are interested in purchasing that. So that'll be in the next upcoming agendas. And then some of the larger, like, land lease stuff that we've done, like the long term, those I've got to legal for review to get back to you guys. So things will be coming forward that were 30 years ago that are now coming back forward. So that's about it.
Mayor.
Councilman McCain?
Have you heard anything about the sequel up there? Are they ever going to get rid of their buildings?
Today.
Yes.
Oh, you have one.
Yes, sir. Paul and I have been back and forth with their legal team. They've since changed companies twice since we started the process, being bought out and bought out again. But we think we've come to a resolution. It looks like they're going to give the buildings to us, and then we will train in them as fire. But we have to work on that agreement and finish that stuff. So that's one of them that will come forward to you in the coming weeks. Hopefully on the March 13th if it passes through all the legal prior to the 13th.
Thanks.
Did you get that agreement that they referenced?
They didn't supply an agreement. They wanted us to, because on our Zoom, remember we said we had one. So the one
Yeah.
that we
the
just
chief
did,
gave us.
yeah, we'll kind of clean that up.
Councilman Brennan?
Timmy, you say they're all gonna be used for fire? Like burn them down?
Yes, sir. We've actually had some squatters in them, and then the water, the fire suppression system froze and busted in several of the units the first of the year, Chief. And we've had to lock them up numerous times, so that's where we're heading at this point. We would probably look at what asset values get left behind, and we would evaluate that, and then decide to train off of it from there.
Now, is there, no, I don't mean to derail this, is there any other, like, potential use for some of the buildings that aren't damaged? Whether it's a city hall annex or a deal over here with these guys, the irrigation district, so we can have their space? I mean, they're all trailerable buildings, right?
I'm unsure on that. I'm not the building, it's not my department, unfortunately. As far as the company was concerned, their investment to move them and relocate them and put them back on foundation was not cost effective, nor do I think that's, and Paul and I were pretty adamant in the direction we were given by you all, was either you move them, because we were no longer in a land negotiation to lease out to anybody else. So that's kind of the path him and I stood, was you either need to get them off the city's property or they become our property and we will do what then we want with them. They're in the mindset that it would be used for training for our fire department. And maybe police department and whatever for the duration of time we want to train in them, if that makes
However,
sense.
their wish list was that they wanted to partner up with us and lease it out to somebody else who would want to use it.
Correct.
So if we tell them, get it off our property, it's a nuisance, which is what I wrote in my letter, it would be somewhat disingenuous for us to then lease it out
Yes.
to somebody, because they would say, well, it was ours, that's what we wanted to do. And you said that it was, freezing solid and bursting and squatters and all that on it, and then to turn around and then try to use it seemed, that was not the direction we were given by the city council.
To try to use it like for our own benefit, or?
Burn it, great, but to, if we found a tenant for it, kind of thing, that's exactly what they asked us to do.
Councilman McCain?
Daniel, I don't think that, I was up there, I had to do an inspection, it was probably, 10 years ago now. And, excuse me, and the half a dozen areas I was in 3 or 4 buildings, they weren't worth much then. So I can imagine if they've been empty for 3 or 4 years now and broken water lines, they're probably not going to be worth a whole lot.
Which is
But
what they assessed to.
in reality, it'll be, as soon as the paperwork is finalized, it'll be an asset of the city to do with what we please, right?
To take that exactly literally, yes. But you heard what I just said before that.
Right. I don't know. Is it possible that the council or individual council members could get a tour of a real asset that we have before we decide to just burn them down? I don't want to commit to burning down buildings if there's any potential use. I don't know.
Mayor,
Councilman McCain?
I'd make a recommendation on that, to have our building official go through and make sure that they're of safe enough quality to where if we got to put work in them, that it's not going to cost the city a fortune to put the requirements that are going to be needed put in them.
Do we go in with hazmat suits?
Mayor.
Chief?
Mayor, council, I would definitely advise the 2 dormitory, the larger buildings that are in there, I would highly advise if you're gonna walk up there, that you go in some form of respiration. They're both full of mold.
Really?
So, yeah, that would not be something we would put firefighters in that element. Those would be strictly defensive, maybe roof vents or something like that on those. But if you're going to go into there, you'll want to go in with some form of respiration. It's very strong.
So they're really just garbage buildings then?
The two buildings are, in my estimation of the buildings, when I walked through and I saw that, yes, indeed, they are. By the time you look at it, even from fire value and stuff, we'll have to put work in them just to make them burnable, because we have constraints that we have to have for live fire burning and training. But having said that, they will make excellent facilities to go in there and train and do that with. I even foresee extending an invitation to do mutual training with the air base on that we can schedule out. The last thing on those buildings, and if you choose to look at this thing, this is what I talked earlier when Tiff told me that, much to my delight, that they were going to be available, was the time frame of those, because we've got a window of time, fire department wise, where we really can burn. We can't wait until the hot summer months to go in there and start burning for all the obvious reasons and so forth. So fall time, springtime would be ideal for us.
Okay. Councilman McCain, is if we send in, would it be Hank? Did we go in? Would he just write a little report as to?
He could, yeah.
Or just
with what I heard here, though, I wouldn't recommend him even going into the 2 dorms in, if there's that kind of mold in there.
Can we send rookie council members into places like that?
That we can do.
Mayor.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Tiff.
Mayor and council, this has been a very long road for Pollinite, and this company has swapped hands 2 times in the last 90 days. So, like, the quicker this could be resolved in the direction we're heading, I would very much appreciate no wild curveballs at the final hour.
I don't understand how, if it's our asset, that we have to burn it down super quick for their timeline.
I'm not saying, sorry, I engaged. I'm not saying to burn it down tomorrow by all means, and that would be negotiated in the agreement. But, I mean, to change now to make it an asset for us to park City Hall as an auxiliary building, I think.
I can help you.
Thank you.
They've indicated that they don't want it anymore because the cost of doing it, of renovating it and getting it, or removing it, because we told them we want it removed because it's a nuisance. And so what they proposed, so to modify kind of your question from before, is once we provide them an agreement that says, do you agree to give this to us for a prescribed burn? Now it's going to be used for a burn. So once we give that to them, and I guess I got to know, you guys authorized us to do that, however number of months ago, because and I was directed to say that it was, and I remember we talked about what an attractive nuisance is and all that stuff, that we declared it a nuisance. And a nuisance has to be abated. And whether they abated it or whether we abated it and then charged them for it, or, hey, tell you what, why don't we just, a win-win for everybody, we'll just burn it, kind of thing. If we're going to come back off of that, now I mean, as a matter of good faith, I would have to tell them saying, well, maybe it's not a nuisance, and maybe we can salvage it for a different purpose, and no, we don't want to remove it. Well, then they're going to say, okay, great, you want to use our buildings, how much are you going to give us, kind of thing. Because it's theirs, and they've indicated they want to give it to us for burn purposes. Well, first they said, it costs too much for us to remove it if you want it removed from your property. If we don't want it removed from the property, our real property, then that changes what I've told them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we ought to just burn them. I really do. I don't think we're going to be able to put the money into them to even think about fixing them. So I think just burning them would be the thing to do. And as we did, we talked about just burning them once.
Remember that conversation, but
I brought it up.
All right.
I don't know what to do with it.
Paula, you got anything?
I do. Mayor and council, you've been getting emails from me regarding the project and production meetings. Hopefully that's helping you know what's going on in the city. If you have questions on a specific project, you can contact the department head or myself and the mayor can also give you an update. You didn't get one last week because nothing changed. We're in March. As March rolls through, we'll be hitting those deadlines. We had 2 things on tonight that stayed right on that whiteboard and move forward. So if you guys have anything you need questions on, just contact us.
Thanks, Paula. Council, anything? I just got one thing. There was some destruction of the sign, or I call it art sign, but I think we need to put some Veracata cameras down there, at least a few down in Railroad Park, just to forego, or, yeah. And then, we had 3 state champion wrestlers. Amy Hartman, the first ever female district and state champ for Mountain Home. Pretty awesome. And then Gabriel and Daniel Rosales, district and state champions. And I think they went undefeated. I think, don't quote me, I think Amy did as well, went undefeated. So that's pretty cool that Mountain Home had a couple of undefeated state champs.
Yeah,
so,
congratulations, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
My girls' team was second overall.
That's awesome. So we got some phenomenal athletes in Mountain Home, so that's neat to see. Other than that, I got nothing else. We'll run down to conflict of interest. Has any council member received information pertaining to or otherwise had any contact with any person regarding any items on the city council agenda? If so, please set forth the nature of contact. Hearing none, we'll go down to consent agenda. Council?
Yeah.
Councilman Brennan?
Apologize in advance. I got a bunch of things on the consent agenda I'd like to talk about real quick.
Talk about, poll, just talk about?
Mostly talk about.
Okay.
Chief Moore, you're on the spot here for a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's a police car being sent to the Mountain Home Fire Department for training purposes. I started engaging in a conversation with you before the meeting. I ran out of time, but I'm just concerned about the separation of 2 different rescue units. So if you receive this car, are you training solely with the fire department or with members of the Elmore County Rescue Team as well?
Straight into the sequel building.
There you go.
Mayor, council, the answer to that question is we have no issue whatsoever in getting that car from the property, which thank you for that. But getting that car delivered over to the rescue building and where they do their training, if we're going to conjointly train on the vehicle. I have no control over whether they want to participate in that training with that vehicle with us. In the event that they don't, we would have that vehicle move down into our public works area and our training facility area, and we would take it and play with it down there until we were done and then have it removed. We have 8 members that are on the fire department. If it falls on a fire training night, they would have every option to train with us on that night. Realistically, in keeping with our annual calendar, the intent is to train on the last Thursday of the month for us, and rescue is also committed to training on the last Thursday of the month with what they do. So in the ideal world, we will train conjointly, but again, that is something that has not been officially something that has been offered up to this point in time. On the city's behalf and on our commitment to the tools and the commitment to the grant people who we got the grant from, we are going to engage in training the fire department level at the very least, and seek whatever training we have to from there. The ideal world will work hand in hand with the rescue folks there with the Elmore County Rescue.
So you told me that, did I hear right, that there's only one person locally that is a certified trainer in like the JAWS and whatnot?
A certified by state trainer, to my knowledge, is the only person I know of is Alan Roberts.
Okay.
For what that is worth, we'd have part of the purchase of the tools is going to bring a certified trainer in to the department we can train on. By no means do I anticipate that being a poof, wow, you're all of a sudden certified to do these things. I anticipate the evolution of the rescue equipment coming in to be just that. The bulk of which will be used for, without a doubt, be used for forcible entry type things, car fires, lifting, damaged buildings or something of that nature where we've propped them up in the past. We'll have stanchions that we can utilize and use that equipment for that. So there's a myriad, albeit for us, it will be mostly in the fire realm.
And so part of that grant that got you the JAWS tool is bringing in somebody for no extra cost to train. So if Alan wasn't available, you would have somebody certified to teach?
Yes, and that's not connected with the purchase from the grant necessarily. That's purchased with the rescue tools. So that comes from the company.
Okay, they send somebody in personally to the city to train?
Correct.
Okay. I think that's all I got on that then. I'm good with that. I would hope vehicle specifically, right, we do extend an invite to get everybody, so we're not just playing around, but getting, good quality team training.
Absolutely agree, and that's
Makes
our full
complete
intention.
sense.
Yeah. Thank you. You're still up on the list here. The fleet truck that you want. The paperwork that we received shows a not to exceed amount of $60,000, but all the quotes and prices and everything leave it at $49,600 with so that's a $10,400 buffer. It seems like a lot, especially since what I'm seeing on the paperwork is that everything else has been priced out or quoted.
Yes, Mayor and Council, to that, the amount of the quotes and so forth on that thing, we believe to be right and as accurate as we can get. We've got some ballpark in there, as ballpark as we can get in terms of the particular one is in the striping of the vehicle, because we're going to have it's coming in white, and we're going to have it wrapped essentially with fire department stuff. So that's kind of the ballpark one, but we anticipate that's going to come in fairly close. At the recommendation of our city treasurer, with the fees at $60,000, she said that I should put that down not to exceed $60,000, so she can probably speak better to that than I.
Mayor and Council, that is what's referenced in the impact fees. He was allowed to purchase one vehicle, and that was the cap of the vehicle. So once this is purchased, he's done with his fleet purchase out of the impact fees until it's revisited. So we just went with what was in the impact fee.
Okay. Just a second. So you have budgeted for $2,000 for striping. When you mentioned a wrap right now. Is it more just like the kind of the fire red stripes across the vehicle?
Yeah, Councilman Brennan and Mayor Council, it is. It'll cover a lot of the vehicle. We've got a couple of different options to look at that thing, but the idea is to have it specific fire, and just have it be just a good looking rig that kind of like a dare car type thing, where you can have it. The intent is to have it for the community to recognize it from a distance away as kind of a cool vehicle. Having said that, the estimated price in there, again, all the estimates on this thing anticipate to fall in line, but there could be overage or underage, as it were, with that either way, but not. I don't expect anywhere near the big variance, I should say, either way.
I see. I just feel like that's a giant buffer, a $10,000 buffer. That's a large percentage of the entire cost. Paula, why isn't like 54 or 55,000 more of like a not to exceed amount?
Well, Councilman Brennan, I was trying to match it up to the impact fees, and while Chief Moore is really solid with his numbers, the sticker price was a bit higher than what he has on his paperwork. So, I'm just giving him some wiggle room.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, those are the quotes he got, but there's some wiggle room in there if needed.
Okay. And it's a lot of wiggle room.
I was just matching back up to the impact fees.
The impact fees just say he has $60,000 to buy a vehicle.
A fleet vehicle, yeah.
That's it.
Yep, and it was based on growth and his firemen coming in, and so that was matching it back to the impact fees, which I think is at the top of his memo.
Yeah. And the impact fees have already been collected. We're not
Those
trying to
impact
spend
fees
for.
have been collected. He's
Okay.
$123,000.
130,000 is the ballpark what we have.
Yeah.
Okay. If 60 or about half of that is dedicated to a truck, what's the other portions dedicated to?
I don't have the impact fee readily in front of me.
Chief Gino?
Sure, Mayor, Council, the impact fees overall, we've got various areas for the impact fee in terms of, mostly it's for large infrastructure, up to and including a fire station down the line, possible secondary station on the west end of town, southwest is what I would have in mind. We have impact fees that we can collect for fire engines. There's 2, I anticipate possibly changing from 2 to 1 on those impact fees. So again, the impact fees coming out with Ann Westcott and the company at that time, it's kind of a moving target. We have with our CIP plan, it's down there, and I too am guilty of not having it in front of me, but it is available through our CIP that on our column that we have our impact fees and what we intend to do with that monies.
Okay. Paul, can impact fees be spent on the equipment inside the truck, like flashlights? Or is that a 10-year asset?
Assets, yeah, no, I think it could be utilized. It can't be used to replace things that are already there, because that's to be borne by the existing general fund. But to the extent that you want to outfit a new truck and new equipment in that new truck, including a flashlight or something like that, I believe it can be used for things like that.
Mayor, did we just spend impact fee money on the police cars? Or was that totally
No, that
different?
was budgeted through general fund.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
I think I'll grab that real quick, it's on my desk, if you want to look at it.
I think I'm getting down that road. I'm okay.
Probably like a small asset that isn't part of, let's say, a police vehicle or a fire vehicle, I would say no. But for ones that are essential to the like I'm thinking like, in the police car, the computers that are in there and things like that. That's part of the police car, even though it's a secondary asset that goes in afterwards. I would say that was part of outfitting the asset. But you happen to use the term flashlight. A flashlight, probably not.
But a floodlight, yes.
But a floodlight that you're using on it, yes. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah.
Like one's a fixture, one's truly like personal property type thing.
I would agree that the stuff on Chief Moore's list is all necessary to outfit a fire vehicle. So with that $10,000 buffer, he can't just go take impact fee money to put some nifty toys inside the truck.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, exactly.
Not that you would. I'm just that
I appreciate your position.
that buffer bothers me, $10,000, but I trust you not to spend impact fee money since it's impact fee, I guess. Yeah. Everybody okay? If we
Keep going.
Next, I'd like to just pull item G and H off the consent agenda. And then, let me get to the next part here. I'd like to talk about item I. Paula, you're gonna be on the spot for me here. I think I've asked about this every year. Couple of just quick concerns. Are you the applicant or are you helping them fill out the application?
I I think I'm the applicant because it is with like the forest. So if it was the chamber office, the chamber would, that's how it was done in the past. The chamber was filling out the application. So I think I'm on like the forest committee, so I'm filling out the application.
But you're not an employee of the, what do you call it?
Right here or something.
The carnival?
No.
You're not an employee or a contractor of them?
No.
So,
Did I put it in there wrong?
no,
Oh.
but like, I'm trying to like read between the lines, and I know you guys hate it when I do that, but
It's okay.
there's a question on here that talks about criminal history, and if you've ever been convicted of a misdemeanor or felony. I don't think you ever have, but what I care about is if the amusement group coming here, if their management has been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor, to protect our kids. You're not the one operating, you know, or bringing in potential criminals. I'm not saying they are, right? But that's who I want to know, that who we're bringing into the community.
Mayor and council, I'm not under a deadline on that, so I could definitely send that out to the carnival owner and have him do it. I'm
Please.
not under a deadline. Yeah, for sure.
Please, I had the same question.
Okay, yeah.
I did. I was like, wait a minute, why is Paula filling this out?
Go ahead.
I think in the sense of Paula filling it out is Light the Forest is who's hiring the carnival. They're the ones that are overseeing the carnival coming to town as Light the Forest, is how I would interpret that. But we can get all the questions answered.
I appreciate there being some middlemen to help them come, but whoever's ultimately like in charge of the manager of the carnival and the personnel, that's who I think needs to be filling this paperwork out. I agree, yeah. That's my thought, so.
Yeah,
No,
because I
no
don't
problem.
think Paula has any problems, but I don't know about the people that this guy's hiring.
Yeah.
So, I guess with that, I'm just gonna ask for that to be removed, or tabled and,
Brought back.
tabled and brought back.
Sure, no problem.
That was Jay?
That was I.
Or I am sorry.
And my last item is, for, Mr. Mitchell. I didn't get a chance to talk to you ahead of time, but I saw some of your paperwork that was dropped in our thing for, item, what is that, L? For planning and development. Brock told me this is a good time to like tell you how I feel about it. I'm never gonna stand in the way with you asking for permission to proceed, so you're good there. Looking at the thing that you supplied to us, which I don't think you had to have supplied right now, but you were gracious to do so. I feel like 6 units on that lot is excessive, and I understand it's R4 PUD, it's currently zoned R4, and maybe it will come out in the public hearing with the neighbors and how they feel about that many units being squeezed onto that lot. But just initially, I feel like 6 might be a little much for that spot. So, just so you know that with your planning process.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's all I have now.
Council, anything you guys want to talk about, Paul?
No.
All right, I'll, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed, pulling, G and H?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to.
Tabling I, sorry.
Yep. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda, pulling G, H, and tabling I.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Kane?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
All right, we'll run down to new business, items removed from the consent agenda. Item G, Councilman Brennan?
Let me make sure I got the right paper in front of me. I'm gonna grab it. Water. Sorry.
Anyone else want water?
No, thank you. Rich, is this
Would anybody else like one? Sorry.
is this topic for you or for Gene?
We can both answer.
Both hit it. I'm gonna, let me read this, sorry, just a second, just to myself.
What the heck? Shrink
Mayor, Council, on what you're reading at, I mean, we brought it as a lease because we wanted to do exactly the same thing as we had to do with the loader. Otherwise, we just would have probably got a brand new one and leased it again. So we just decided, well, we didn't, let's just buy this one outright over 7 years like we did the grader because we didn't want to, that was what you guys had us do last time. So that's what we went with.
Okay. So as I read it, the word stuck out to me, refinance. How does that apply right now in this situation?
Because we'd have to pay for the whole thing as a lump sum of $190,000, which we didn't have because we weren't
To take ownership.
ownership of it. So basically, we're buying that machine for that price. So we just wanted to finance it over the 7 years, exactly like we did with the grader.
Okay.
So not with the loader. Excuse me.
Did you say 190?
Something.
Currently, it is financed through Caterpillar at $190,000. And you have to make a balloon payment, which is due now.
And we're at the very end, right?
Correct.
And the balloon payment is 190.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've elected to refinance through Mountain West Bank with the paperwork in front of you.
Okay. And the refinance will be, we're taking that 190, getting a loan to pay it off to take ownership in over 7 years.
Correct.
Okay. Just to kind of keep things equal, I guess, the equipment, is it the same type of wear and tear as the grader? Where it'll be a good quality machine for us for many years to come? Okay. You felt this, do you feel like this is the best option, or are you just trying to, you know it's coming from me?
I knew it was going to be coming from you. So, truthfully, yes, we probably would have liked to got a brand new one and went with another lease on it, but we're fine with going this way.
Okay. Okay, then I've had my questions answered.
So is there a motion to deny or approve?
Sure.
Councilman Brennan?
May I make a motion to approve the request to refinance the 2018 motor grader with Mountain West Bank as a lease purchase?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman McCain?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
All right, Councilman Brennan. Item H.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
I'll make a motion to pass resolution number 12-2023R, authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease agreement and all other schedules attached thereto with Mountain West Bank for the 2018 140 M3 motor grader for the street department.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman McCain?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
All right. Run down to action item, discussion decision to pass resolution 13-2023R, establishing a new use facilities fee for non-city organizations.
Mayor,
Councilman McCain?
I'll make a recommendation to pass resolution 13-2023R to establish the new use fee recommendation for the city, non-city organizations.
Second it.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brennan?
I'd just like to ask the council, the maker of the motion, if we can basically just clarify the definition to help everybody, so that it just says,
Yes.
what would you call, non-parks and rec, organized, or something to that effect.
Yes, that'll be fine, to non-authorized, non-Parks and Rec organizations that have not gone through Parks and Rec. Yeah, okay.
Or anyone other than the city. You do it that way as well. That way all city organizations have the same.
All city organizations would fall underneath that, yeah.
Under Parks and Rec.
Yeah, under Parks and Rec, yes. I have no problem with that. We need something, anybody that goes through Parks and Rec for anything, they are already paying for the wear and tear of the parks. It's the people that aren't, and that's what we need to do. We need somebody to take care of that. So anything that does not go through Parks and Rec needs to pay the non-city organizations.
Does
Does that make sense?
Does that define it well enough for the riders? Illegal?
Yeah, if you're not a,
Non-city
if you're not
organization.
a city, if,
All right, that's what I was now.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Tim.
if you're not a program through Parks and Recreation, then you would be a non-city organization, right? Hosting, I'm gonna throw Little League out there, or girls softball. You're not a program through us.
Right.
I don't foresee another department doing intramural basketball, you know.
Right,
but
that's what was
I think
discussed
city-
earlier with,
Yeah.
As long as that's in writing somewhere that
Yeah.
defines non-city, meaning
Right.
Parks and Rec.
Okay. And we definitely can add it, we've done that with including power hookup and listed, so we could add it onto the
You can throw it
resolution.
in as a whereas,
Yeah, okay.
and then it doesn't have to be in the text of the ordinance itself, or excuse me, the resolution itself.
okay, you got that? I don't know how to word it now. Okay.
It's the motion is second. Any further discussion?
Did he re-second the?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Brennan.
Aye.
Councilman McCain.
Aye.
Run down to action item number 3, discussion decision with Chief Moore regarding the 4th of July fireworks show.
Chief. Oh, sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman McCain.
I was just gonna ask if you could give us a,
If I may, Tiff, would you pass that up that way? I did not have this paperwork originally for you, and I thought that might make better sense as I talk through this fireworks portion. That's for your review.
I was just looking at the amount of shell difference. That really was a major drop with that, and that's really,
Yes, Mayor, Council,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to bring this, first of all, I apologize for the 11th hour coming forward with this. I didn't want to come forward with a problem without a solution. And the solution on here is what you're looking at with option A. Option B, I thought that this paperwork that went out there might also give you a visual aid in terms of what it means by shells. If you look at option A and you see blanks and so forth by them, you'll see that there'll be none of those shells with A. Option B essentially is, as stated above, it would be basically our regular shell that would be there. It amounts to about a 40% increase. We barely got wind of that. I'm sure that the other city entities throughout the state that uses Fireworks America as a vendor for fireworks they're hit with the same cost increase. Speaking with our treasurer, Paula, she suggested that what we do is come forward with this proposal, but also put on there for next year to look at how we would budget an increase such as that. Typically, we have so you're aware, the streetwalkers go out and they do a tremendous job in our community. They raise in the neighborhood and have traditionally for the last several years, pre-COVID, collected in the $20,000 range. The fire department, through crazy days, we generally will raise in the vicinity of $4,000. The city kicks in $2,500, and that's essentially where we get our money from in our operating. So that's where the numbers are derived from as you look at both options there and our shortfall. If we don't either come up with some money or alter our show. So I'll stand for questions.
Councilman?
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan.
Oh, first. You want to stand for questions? I was just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time. As I kind of mentioned to you privately is, I don't, in my mind only, right, is I don't think the contingency fund is meant for this purpose, for literally spending $20,000 and lighting it on fire. I struggle with our contingency fund being funded for other emergencies, like when gas to operate our fire engines and our police cars and our street department vehicles, when that's unplanned for, just like this is unplanned for, but the mission of the city comes first. And The pool is still a very hot topic in my mind, and I hope it is in everybody else's up here too. But quite honestly, I want to save all the money possible for a true emergency, and if we have to spend it on a pool to get it built, that's my thought. So I don't think I need to probably belabor the point, but pulling $20,000 out of contingency to light it on fire, please, I don't want to hear people say, like, I'm not American and I don't like fireworks. Like, I like them just as much as everybody else, but I don't think that's in the best interest of our taxpayers for that extra unbudgeted money to go there right now with all the other shortfalls the city has with, like, a pool and whatnot.
Chief, did we ask the county for any funds?
Mayor, council, no, we have not, at this late hour, we have not done that. The intention on this thing, having been given this thing, one, it would have been a good idea before, is certainly a better idea now. The cost of the fireworks and the show that we've become quite well known for in our community is going to, we can't beat the streets, I don't think, any more than we have in the residents and our citizens in the community. I realize that we're looking at tax money as well, but again, having said that, I think that there's a couple of avenues that between now and next year that we could approach and see if we can be successful. Honestly, I don't know how close we can get to the number to get to the show that we've had traditionally the last several years here in Mountain Home.
Councilman McCain?
So contingency is the only way you can think of coming up with the amount of money you're gonna need to keep it the same as what we've had it.
Mayor, council, I don't have any money in the fire department budget to put towards this. I don't have any excess money, so again, just working to an avenue, and I didn't know whether it would be viable or not. I was hoping.
I have full confidence that Mrs. Belt is going to get us that extra money for the Land and Water Conservation Grant.
My big debut is Wednesday. My partner over there.
Well, that'd be nice. Mayor, excuse me.
Hang on one second,
Okay.
Councilman. I don't have a problem. Right now, we have the money to fund the pool, right, Tiff? We just don't get all the bells and whistles, right?
Yes.
So we have the money to build the pool today.
Yeah. The only uncertainty is your brickwork on your
Pump house.
pump house, and then whether you build a storage room on the south end or if that gets budgeted over time.
Right. So the extra $750,000 we're asking for is for the facilities inside, the roof,
No, the 500,000 that
Or 500, sorry.
the excess we're requesting, Mayor, is to aid in the pool decking and complete the project so that then the allocated funds that Mayor and Council have requested could be then spent to mirror the building structure for the pump room and the storage room. Because we can't allocate the grant funds to the pump
right,
to the brickwork.
to the building.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Even though it's part of the pool.
Councilman McCain.
Well, as most people are quite aware of, that I don't always agree with Councilman Brennan's thoughts, but on this one, I have to. I don't believe that contingency money is really meant for a fireworks display. Even though I'll go with that, exactly what he says. I hate to look that way, but because I do like the fireworks display, I love it, but I just don't know if contingency is really the way to go with that kind of money.
Mayor,
Councilman Green?
I have to agree as well.
Copy that.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Brennan.
Make a motion to, well, I guess I gotta wordsmith this here. I'm gonna make a motion to deny any contingency fund money to further the fireworks program.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman McCain?
Aye.
All right. Thanks, Chief. Run down to non-action item number 4, discussion with Mr. Cherry regarding operation of wheeled devices in the downtown overlay ordinance amendment.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
can I make one comment before?
Yep.
To the chief. Chief, I wanted to say thank you for being brave enough to come and ask. I don't think we often reject things, but I'm always a proponent of any department head coming and asking when they have a shortfall, regardless of whether you think it might get passed or whether it doesn't. So I just thank you and commend you for asking.
Yeah, Council, thank you for that, and I appreciate your positions and understanding.
Ditto, because I hate disapproving a council. I had department heads request. I hate doing it, but I've got to agree.
I think there's a route to get there, which is not contingency money.
All right. Councilman, you have anything for Bach?
Yeah.
Councilman Brennan?
I do.
Okay.
Had a chance to kind of correspond with Brock about this a little bit. Couple things I'd like to point out is this potential ordinance does not restrict the normal riding of wheeled devices on the sidewalk. So we're not at all saying they can't be on the sidewalk. There is potentially, it may not be conflicting. I think it depends on if we want it to conflict or not. That the city has currently an ordinance for bicycles not being on the sidewalk downtown. So I think while making this decision, we have to keep that ordinance in mind if we want to keep that or lump bicycles in to this as a whole.
Correct.
And I kind of brought this request up. The more that I think of it, we talk about the downtown overlay. I don't know why we don't just make it for the city as a whole, because we have a lot of city assets like the new band shell in Carl Miller Park that would not be included on the way this is written. And so since we're not restricting the use of sidewalks and other public areas, rather than if you don't mind, for the public, I'm going to read what we have here so everybody knows what we're talking about. It's operation of wheeled devices in the downtown overlay. Within the downtown parking overlay, as described in City Ordinance 912-2 and 3 of Mountain Home City Code, no person shall ride or operate a skateboard, roller skates, scooter, inline skates, bicycle, or other wheeled recreation equipment on any public ornamental surface, tree or shrub, parking areas, street curbs, hand railing, picnic tables, benches, foundation area, splash pad, playground equipment, planter, sculpture, signage, stage or performance area, which is why I talked about the other one, public art exhibit, city equipment, or other structures unless otherwise specifically designated for such activity. And then a violation is an infraction. So we're not restricting it, we're just giving teeth to say you can't scoot your, I don't know what it's called, I'm not a skateboarder. You can't grind on our stuff or other.
Don't be a sellout, bro.
Sorry,
Like-
I know, sorry, bro.
Like the brand new handrails downtown, the brand new curbing,
The benches.
The benches.
right. And so, I'm in 100% support for this, but I think it should be like citywide, all of those type of things that are read on there.
It's an easy change.
I think that's, Mayor,
Councilman Green?
I think that's a good idea as well. It should be citywide rather than just the downtown overlay.
I would agree with that myself. I'm just, Mayor,
Councilman.
very sorry.
No, you're good. It's Councilman McCain. I'm just in love.
Public ornamental surfaces, don't we have some colored stamped sidewalks down there? What's that classified as?
We do.
That'd be considered probably ornamental, stamped.
Could be. We could adjust the language.
Well, we allow bikes on sidewalks, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if they're riding on the sidewalk with anything and they go across, that's stamped.
Yeah. Well, what we say, I think it's important in the definition
unless otherwise specifically designed for such activity. And I believe that
Okay,
clearly.
I just don't want somebody to come back later and go, well, wait a minute,
Well, and what the hope is, and we have consulted Chief Thompson with this, because we want to make sure it's enforceable.
Okay.
It's kind of just something that we can wave at people, and hopefully they'll stop and be like, hey guys, stop grinding on this. It's a lot of taxpayer money. We have a world-class skate park right over there.
I know what you're looking at.
And if bikes aren't allowed, I think bikes should be allowed, because our bike racks are on the sidewalk.
Touche.
Mayor?
So, sorry, go ahead, Council Brennan.
I think, like, people have never been prohibited from walking their bicycle on the sidewalk, and Brock, you're probably an expert on this, is that bikes go super fast, and they often cause, like, if you're on the sidewalk in a downtown area, somebody's riding a bike and somebody steps out of a business, and then you've got that crash right there that happens. And so I would be in favor of still keeping the no bicycle riding on the sidewalks downtown, but as soon as you get downtown on the sidewalk, you walk your bike and walk it up, or go in the bike lane that's on the road. So I don't think there's a need to change the current bicycle. How do I say it? The restriction on bicycles. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Downtown, like, keep the restriction there. Let them get off the bike and walk it up, and then implement this, which is a whole nother thing.
I'm hearing a lot of good comments for the master transportation plan. So, no, these are great.
So you want to kind of give them, reiterate and see if they agree, and we'll keep moving? Oh, this is a non-action item, sorry.
No. Yeah.
So, all right.
So I got my notes.
We're all in agreement on the whole city, though?
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul, do you see any legal issues?
No.
How it's
Nearly
written?
identical, that's tracking almost identically to what Boise does. In their downtown area where they have a little line through skateboarding and stuff.
Yeah, but they have scooters on
They
them. How do they get
got
with
scooters riding on the sidewalks down there, motorized ones.
Those were exempt from it. Go figure.
Well, we all have them, so.
Bicycles, rollerblades, whatever your, what do you call it?
Hoverboard.
No, what do you call skateboarding?
Grinding.
Grinding.
Well, it's.
I cannot believe you know that.
There's too many people laughing in the audience right now. You guys need to stop.
Okay.
I didn't know.
So any other further, so Brock, will you send that back out to them and see if they have any other comments, and then we'll bring it back next one?
Yep, I got it.
Skateboarding exists where you are?
All right, we're on down to action item non-action item discussion with Mr. Cherry, parking on public streets, amendment city ordinance. Council, this is another one up for discussion. You like, you don't like, you want to change, you want to, this was Mr. Uhas wanted this implemented. And we tried to try to give best go at it. So Councilman Brennan, go ahead.
In the old wise words of Councilman Bundy, I think we're creating an ordinance for one person, although other people may feel the same way. They haven't come to the table with it. This draft I'm not in favor of at all. And if I may read it, this is parking on public streets. And Paul, have you reviewed this yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have, Brock and I had talked, there were a couple things I wanted to change to.
Okay. In the order in which this is written, it says parking on public streets. No person shall park or place or cause to be parked or placed upon any public street, regardless of whether attended or unattended. And so you'd assume you'd go down to sub 1, because that in and of itself says no parking. But subsection 1 says for longer than 48 hours. Sub A, any motorhome or recreational vehicle, neither this nor any provision of this chapter shall be construed to authorize any person to sleep in or allow another to sleep in any motorhome or recreational vehicle. And then sub B, while parked on public street or other public right-of-way, motorhome or recreational vehicle slide-outs or other vehicle projections shall not be deployed at any time.
Yeah, you have to open it up to get to your cabinets.
That's not what it says. it says for longer than 48 hours is the auspice of one, and then subset B. So I didn't care for it for the opposite reason that you're saying. Saying, what's this says right now is that you could have the slide outs out for 48 hours straight, is how I read that. Because it's saying, because the condition precedent to saying it can't be deployed at all is that for longer than 48 hours, above it.
Yeah.
And 48 hours of slide out sticking out is exactly what that gentleman was so mad about, that it's dangerous, so.
Sure.
I have some, I mean, I was gonna get together with Brock in a busy week, but I have some fixes for it.
So can we bring it back then? I'm sorry, Councilman.
I was just gonna say, so how do you, here's one, how do you enforce? Who's gonna determine 48 hours for length of how long it's been there? Who's gonna determine whether or not somebody is sleeping in it? And who's gonna determine whether or not the slide outs have been out for so long?
We're gonna have the grinder with the skateboard hang out there.
Actually, isn't there an ordinance that allows code enforcement to sleep in the camper? Remember when you bring your... Yeah, no, isn't there, like, if you're on a dead cul-de-sac, you can sleep in your camper if you get it okayed by them for a week?
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
For a week? Or 2 weeks?
I think that.
But it doesn't say out on the street, though. It says through them you can get it to sleep in it, but I don't think it says, gives you a caveat of on the
Had to
street.
be on your property.
That's
It's on your property.
Solved by just saying
I
unless
think-
otherwise provided.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then you cover that. But what you guys have to decide is, from the conversations what the gentleman said, and then also what you guys think is, I mean, the way I would advise you on it is through your police powers, public health and safety, right? And so the slide outs, parking too close to a corner where it obstructs lane of travel, or, excuse me, the sight triangle. You know, having the slide outs out, you know, temporarily for cleaning, but it should not be left unattended. If you're in there cleaning it, great, but if you're leaving it out there and your police officer walks by or your code enforcement walks by and like, there's nobody here, what's going on here? Well, now you know it's a violation. If you hear the vacuum cleaner in there, you know, okay. You know.
Right, but Mayor,
Councilman McCain?
I have, in my fifth wheel, I can't get to half of my cupboards without the slide out being there. I could be taking stuff back and forth and be in the house when a police officer or code enforcement comes by. I'm not in violation, I'm still loading it, but I'm not in attendance when they come by.
Yeah, but you as a former building inspector knows, and police knows, this is in the exercise of discretion. And the police officer, or code enforcement guy, whoever it is, you're seeing, if you see they're going in and out, yeah, no problem. I mean, this isn't one to say, here's your $100 fine, ha-ha, kind of thing. It's more to the situation where it's left open, for example, overnight.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want to limit it to that because there's certain intersections or certain streets that are narrower than other streets, and you may want to be a little bit more hyper-vigilant on that. So you wouldn't say it can't be left open overnight. You would have more blankets saying you cannot leave it open unattended. But you get the idea.
Mayor,
Councilman
I'm gonna go one more time.
Okay.
Some fifth wheel, or some RVs don't have slide outs. Say you can't sleep in it. How do you know somebody's sleeping in it?
Your neighbors tattletale on you. That's how it always happens.
Yeah, but what if they're not there when then comes by? There's all sorts of stuff with sleeping in it, even if it's on the street, which I agree is wrong. You shouldn't do it, because somebody runs into it, you're just SOL. But I think it's gonna be a hard time trying to enforce that.
I don't like prosecuting these in particular because they're kind of annoying to deal with, but, you know, chief goes out there, gets an affidavit from angry neighbors saying this person's cousin is in town and he's been sleeping in there, he got here on Monday, he's still in there now, police officer goes over there, there's nobody there. The affidavit, it's enough. I could use that in court. I can get it resolved, so to speak. That doesn't necessarily mean a conviction sometimes. But, I mean, it's enough. It is.
Okay, well,
The one that actually throws me a curveball is, what about the pop-up ones where you need to open it up and actually leave it open for quite a bit of time, because why?
Dry it out.
Dry it out, and things like that. So it's like, okay, we gotta do something that makes sense and all that, so.
Councilman Brennan.
Is there a compromise that if it's open after dark, it has to have like a reflective like a cone underneath or reflective striping on it for the general, you call it the police power, the health and safety measure, instead of, I think this is overburdensome. I'm not going to support probably anything close to this. But tell somebody if your slide's out after dark, you got to have a cone out there marking your extension, or reflective tape on your extension. I don't know.
The only, to play devil's advocate for you, that would work on some streets, and then it wouldn't work on other streets if cars literally can't get by. Or, I mean, you heard, that was one of the most adamant things that gentleman had said, is even if you have a reflector, I mean, you could have a blinking light, it still could be very obstructionist and create light, basically light noise that could be inhibiting. And what happens if it's shedding out on the sidewalk? Now you have ADA issues. There's just certain things that, you know, it might be fine on some streets, it might be awful on other ones. And so you gotta kind of, you sort of write these things up for the lowest hanging fruit, like the narrow street, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so you try to create things that are kind of objective, and then you hope that from the discretion of your police officers and code enforcement people, that it'd be like, please, sir, maybe close this up. I don't want to write you a ticket, but be wary of what you're doing to your neighbors here, that kind of thing.
I feel like a lot of the citizens who make these complaints, right, are how do I say this? They have the right to do a citizen citation, right? Kind of a citizen arrest type thing. Not an arrest physically, but so where was I going with that? The officer's discretion might be slightly limited, although I think I'm smart enough to know that somebody's like, I want to write them a ticket. I'm like, sorry, I'm not right. I'm not even scratching that down on that piece of paper. You can want to all day long, but I'm not going to let that happen.
Route for prosecutor review. I'm like, I know what that is. You want me to be the bad guy and deny it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Chief, do you have any inputs on this?
No, I do
Oh, come on. Throws the bone here.
I will tell you guys, last week I watched a little girl ride her bike to school, and the pop-out was on the sidewalk side, and she almost hit it on her bike. And so if in those situations, if mom doesn't know to then make a complaint or go that route, I think that's, again, you're writing it for the far and few between, but
I will tell you,
you're protecting.
I understand the sidewalk argument, right? ADA and all that stuff, and maintaining a clear and open sidewalk. That's why our garbage cans can't even be sitting on there out in the street. And we're putting garbage cans on the street, so it's like, I would support the sidewalk argument, but not the traffic flow argument right now with that, because there are some streets like Mountain View in town that are really hard to get through, but I don't know where to bring it up. Brock, I told you about the whole argument of like, I wish the street on front of my house was my ability to park there and restrict anybody else from parking there, but everybody tells me you can't do that because it's a public right-of-way, right? I don't know if a city ordinance would allow that, but at the same point, the city, on the other hand, comes in and says, you own half the road, and you have to maintain the weeds that grow up in the cracks. So do I own the road or don't I own the road? Like, you can't have your fruit and eat it too, your cake.
Trimming, that's always my favorite.
Yeah.
What's that?
Tree trimming, that's always a good one.
Councilman.
One more, and then I'll shut up. How about the 50-amp cord running across the sidewalk? That is inch in diameter, because that's what I have, and it is massive. Somebody in a wheelchair would never make it over that cord.
Maybe have it go across the street and now you got a speed bump.
Yeah, you would.
So do you guys want Brock to tackle this, get with Mr. Fitzer, and then send you something else?
Please.
Okay, and then will you send Brock your wish list, and then have him send it back to you guys?
I'll send him my wish list.
There you go. Okay, let's move to item number 6. It's another non-action item, discussion regarding amendments to Title 10 Municipal Fiber System Ordinance. So we talked to Paul on this one a little bit, trying to clean up our language with that ordinance. Brock, I guess you want to hurry up.
Yes, the short synopsis is we just want to make it more precise. We want to make sure that those individuals who are responsible for putting in this infrastructure, it's clearly stated that that's their responsibility. That's something we're working with Paul on. Everything else is housekeeping as far as design standards of what we have, so it's clear for developers, it's clear for us what the expectation is. That essentially is it. The first part, which the mayor mentioned, we're going to be working with legal to make sure that we're specifying that correctly and it's something that we have the capability of doing. And the second part, the municipal fiber infrastructure design standards, it's all technicality and making sure we have uniform installation across the city.
Any questions on that one?
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
Brock, there's a lot of new stuff in this from where it was before. Is this truly only working on the definition of a developer?
No, so there's two parts. There's working on the definition of developer, but then 10-1-18, that is all design standard.
Design.
So that's saying that this is generally the type of conduit we use. These are the handholds. It's listing the design standard for the equipment.
So what's happened is if you take Ray Lynn, they put in like an 1.25 inch conduit, which it should have been 3/4 inch, or was it 1/2 inch. So you got these big tubes sticking out of the ground, and we want to clarify that if, once that stuff goes in, it's this 3/4 inch to the home, the trunk line is 1.25 inches or 2 inches, that kind, and then what kind of box? Is it a plastic box? Is it a traffic rated? There's just the standard, just cleaning that up.
What about when it talks about the definition of developer, it talks about an individual, let's say somebody comes in to develop their own privately owned lot in a commercial activity. Is this clarifying that at all? Other than saying an individual is required to? Or,
correct.
I don't know the ordinance number. It says that every commercial and new built home is required to have?
Yes.
Is this specifying that?
Yes. That's its purpose, and that's what we're going to work with legal on, to capture a little bit more to make sure that the language is precise in that. Essentially, if I'm doing a significant project where I'm boring or I have a new build, what we hoped for was if there's a hole open, let's put conduit in it. That doesn't mean we have to put fiber line if it's not available, but let's try to dig once. We all know what that policy is. So this is making sure that we capture that for all of those individuals participating in that type of activity, where they're opening up the road, they're tearing up sidewalk. It's a prime opportunity for us to put conduit in there to make sure that has to happen. Mm-hmm. Recently, and the purpose for this is we had a ISP provider who thought that they fell out of the purview of that by saying, well, we're not a developer, this is a new subdivision. So this is us providing better clarifying language so that the ordinance can be more enforceable.
I guess, I know this isn't an action item, but the ordinance that we have in effect that says, like, you're required to pay this fee, you're required to have our internet.
You're not required to have our internet.
No, not required.
But you're required to have the infrastructure, the connection there.
Yes. We're in a new bill.
I'm kind of backtracking on my desire to mandate that upon everybody, and I'm probably not fully educated on the topic. But there's the ISP that you talked about that's coming in, and we've been seeing fiber getting put in all over the place. That's not the city of Mountain Home. Mm-hmm. So the benefit to the city or the harm to the individual or company that's coming in to build on one lot for one structure, to say you have to put in our stuff and you can't accept CenturyLink or whatever. So
they're paying a building permit anyways.
Right. I'm probably going further than I need to on this, but
So,
not a huge fan of that.
well, and Councilman, all of these concerns are merited. We were just speaking about it. We know that, I probably have a fun, all expenses paid study date with Mr. Fitzer to go over to make sure that we're not having any overreach,
right.
just like you said.
Good.
If you want, after those discussions, I'll be more than happy to pull you aside and fill you in on what we know and making sure that everyone is well versed on the matter.
Please. Thank you.
Anything else, council? All right, we'll run down to recognizing person in the audience. We'd like to get up for 3 minutes.
2 minutes?
Okay. All comments, council? Okay.
Come on.
Meeting adjourned.